Hi, everybody. It's Beth English and Sergio Gomez, and we're here today to talk to you about how to stop overthinking your creative ideas. Sergio, what do you think about that topic today?
I love that. I love that. Overthinking sometimes could be like the biggest killer of ideas.
Yes, it's something that I feel like with the artists I'm coaching and with the group that I'm leading, it feels like that's something that everyone struggles with. And anytime I post some sort of inspirational or encouraging word around that, just people gravitate to it so quickly. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I think that we can do some things that can really easily and quickly keep us from getting into that space where we start overthinking everything that we're kind of coming up with or that we have ideas for. And I just want to dive into that. So do you have any thoughts so far about like overthinking? Like, is that something you see yourself doing a lot?
Yes, you know what? It happens to me in a lot of things. And that, it's sometimes in content that I might be creating or something, that I might be working in the studio. And yeah, I find myself sometimes I have to catch myself like I think I'm overthinking it too much, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of going back to sometimes the very first idea. It was the best thing to do versus continue it, working at it. And now sometimes there might be cases in which it works out at the end,
Mm-hmm.
but most cases than not, I think the overthinking starts to kind of put a seed of doubt.
Right. And I think that's the type of overthinking where we're inviting in a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism. And so I think that there's a difference between thinking about your ideas when you're asking yourself, what do I notice? What do I wonder? What do I connect to? Versus, that's not a good idea. Nobody will like that. Or that's never going to work because I don't have XYZ resources. Or you come up with a laundry list of ideas of why things won't work around your vision instead of creating a list of things that will help support your vision and get it to work. And so that was sort of my first point is how do we even perceive our creative ideas, whether it's from a lens of accepting and nurturing or like criticizing and judging.
Mhm. And I think that's kind of where a lot of people that have a kind of an idea for something they want to do, but they never get to it because
Mm-hmm.
this overthinking of, should I do this? Should I do A? Should I do B? Should I do C? I'm
Mm-hmm.
good enough. I don't have this. I don't have that. All the limitations that come with the overthinking that they never get to the very first step of actually,
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. Right. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's, that for many reasons that could be very detriment to where we want to be, but we just never get to it because we keep overthinking it.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, just as artists and maybe a lot of our past experiences have shown us that other people aren't in support of maybe our ideas or they don't
Mhm.
understand where our ideas are coming from. But I just want to get a message out there to you today, you guys. Like, if you have an idea, know that it came from somewhere directly to you because it matters. The
Mhm.
things that you are intuiting or visioning to create, there is a reason that you're receiving that information. And it's up to you to deliver it out into like the physical world. Because right now, when it's in your head, no one else can see it. And when you talk about it, no one else maybe could even understand it because they weren't given that same vision.
Right.
But like when you were given a specific vision, it's your job to get it out there into the world. And if you do create limiting beliefs around it, because maybe someone in your past taught you that this is the way that we think through our ideas as artists, like from a less than mentality, I
Mhm.
think that we have to be mindful of how we're getting our ideas out there. And so my second point was when you feel like your ideas or you're overthinking and you can sense things like up here, I think
Mhm.
sometimes we can sense like our energy, and when things are spinning around our head up here, that means it's really time to get into our bodies and ground some of those ideas. And so taking a walk, practicing breathing exercises,
Mhm.
dancing, just doing whatever it takes to bring the awareness
Mhm.
into your body.
Mhm.
And then I think that what that does is that slows down your prefrontal cortex, and then it allows for creative insight and clarity to be accessed versus
Mhm.
when you're stuck ruminating on ideas, particularly negative ideas, you're
Mhm.
never going to shift out of that mindset until you really get into your body.
Yeah, and I love that. It's very similar like when you're in the studio and you're stuck on a work that you're doing, painting or drawing, whatever, and you've been looking at it for so long, thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it for so long that sometimes it just needs a weekend where you are out of the studio for 2 3 days. When you come back and you see it refresh, and it's like, oh, I know what it needs now, right? But at the
Mm-hmm.
moment when you are looking at it over and over, hour after hour, it just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't click, because as you said, it's over here, and we
Mm-hmm.
need that separation, we need that space. And I think uh, what you just said, I think is perfect. Giving ourselves that space to walk away, to move out, so that when we come back to it, we see it with a fresh lens, with a fresh, day of light, in order to maybe pick up what is the next step that needs to be done, or to go back to where we left out, that it was the better choice.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that we get into our bodies through the painting process. Like that's why so many artists love to create, because it's getting them into their senses, into their bodies, where sometimes the work is really physically demanding. And then but sometimes we get out of that and get back into our heads. So it's like we're constantly teetering between, are we in our heads or are we in our bodies? And I think when we're allowing flow to come to us and through us to create, then that seems like an effortless sort of energy exchange between what we're expressing and then the work in front of us. But if we are not in that flow, then we may tend to be more in our head, because we're discerning, we're judging, we're trying to figure it out, which a lot of times our minds start going overdrive because we're trying to figure something out. But really, the answers lie in that stepping away and that like disconnection from trying to think it through. Because
Right.
when it comes to expression and art, I think we have to feel our way through it. And so like thinking our way through it is not a way that we may find the answers that we're looking for.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think a lot of times, when we are overthinking it, it's part of also the expectations that we may have. And sometimes the overthinking depends what we're talking about, but sometimes the overthinking is also a lot related to what people say. Well, how will I be judged for whatever X, Y thing that I'm putting out there in the world that I'm going to be doing? And a lot of times, is that insecurity as well. And that space, is so important, and really understanding where we are and how we feel. I think it's super important.
But even when we start thinking about like, how will this affect other people, or what do we think that they're going to think about it? I think we can use that information to help drive us in a direction that's going to be helpful. So
Mhm.
asking yourself, what is this trying to tell me I care about? What is this trying to tell me that I need to know more of? And when we look at some of our judgments in that way, we can sort of get the underlying information out of it. And then sometimes it releases that judgment once we've gone through that process, where we ask it, why does this keep coming up? And what is it trying to tell me I need to know? So that we can because sometimes when we have judgments too, we think, oh, I shouldn't be having that thought, or I need to push that aside, but really when we do that, we just trap it. And we
Mhm.
need to be able to accept it
Mhm.
and let it have a voice, so that we can say, is this helpful or harmful? Do I need to keep this, or
Right.
do I need to release this?
Mhm.
And so I think when we think about the whole process as something where we're just accepting and
Mhm.
noticing and increasing our awareness around our ideas, around the narratives we tell ourselves versus the
Right.
narratives we want to live by, I think that's just a beautiful process for us to practice just in general, whether it's in or out of the studio,
Mhm.
raising our awareness to just have more empathy and compassion for the things that we tell ourselves and the things other people tell us too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And something that helps me a lot, for example, in a practical way, like on that side, I have my board, right? I like to write things down, and sometimes when I visualize it, then I can pinpoint those things where I might be going on a totally, unproductive tangent that's not gonna lead me anywhere because I'm overthinking it too much. And that process of writing it, and seeing it visually, like, okay, now it makes sense. A lot of times, as we process things that right here in the head, they're abstract
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and ideas, and but once you go through the process of, okay, how do I verbalize this, write it down, and then analyze what you just wrote, allows you to then make those decisions, and uh, you know be more likely to come to an understanding of where you want to get and what you want to accomplish once you see it. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think art should feel hard. Like, I feel like it should be an extension of who we are as individuals. Some
Yeah.
of us are really talented at realism, some of us are really talented at expressionism. Like, we have our own unique ways of expressing ourselves. And so, the more we just invite the information to come in and invite ourselves to be able to use our gifts in the only way that we know how without judging ourselves,
Mhm.
like, the easier that whole process of creating and the more enjoyable it will be, even if it's a hard topic or maybe a challenging
Mhm.
process. I think we can still like find the space to allow it to flow with ease
Right.
instead of to feel like it's hard or challenging.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Totally agree.
Yay, we're all in agreement here. Well, we are out of time. And I just wanted to mention to you guys, I have some really exciting news coming up in the next week or so. And so I just wanted to just plant that seed in your head to be watching out for me on Facebook and Instagram and kind of see what I have coming up, because I think you're going to really love it. And I just would love for you to come join me over on Facebook and Instagram at Beth English. I'll be sharing some very exciting news in the next
Very
week
cool.
or
I
so.
can wait, Beth. I can wait. Hopefully, we can talk about those news here in a future episode too. That will be really exciting.
Probably in the next couple episodes, I'll be able to talk about it more. So,
Excellent, excellent.
where
And
can our friends find you online?
yeah, you can find me on Instagram. That's kind of my preferred spot to be around during the day. And that's Sergio Gomez Art. And also, you can text me at 708-627-9103. We'd love to hear from you as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you again next Wednesday.
Goodbye, everybody. See you later.
Bye.